have some bass ideas for you today. I've got a chord progression that's very common in bluegrass. It works for a lot of songs. For example, it works for Ain't Nobody Gonna Miss Me When I'm Gone, Bury Me Beneath the Willow, Georgia on a Fast Train, Hold What You Got, I Jumped the Mississippi, at least the verse. I'm on my way back to the old home, On and On, Will the Roses Bloom, Wreck of the Old 97, Y'all Come, You'll Never Find Another, and Your Love is Like a Flower. That chord progression I have up here in Nashville numbers, so 1144, 1155, 1144, 1511. And if you're not familiar with Nashville numbers, that's okay. So we're going to be doing this in the key of G. So everywhere you see a 1, we're going to put a G chord. The 4 is going to be a C, and the 5 is going to be a D. So Nashville numbers is based just on the major scale. So you're starting with your root and counting up. So key of G, G is 1, A is 2, B is 3, C is 4, D is 5, E is 6, F sharp would be your 7, and then 8 is your octave is back to G. So that's the very brief introduction to that. So if we were playing this chord progression straight, just roots and fifths, so they tell me your love is like a flower, in springtime it blossoms so fair, in the fall when it withers away, dear, and they tell me that's the way of your love. So I apologize, G is not my best key to sing in, but you get the idea. So that's just roots and fifths. So let's say you want to do something between those transitions, a little bit between chords. So we're going to look at some notes and slight rhythmic choices that you can make that are a little different than that. And we're going to introduce the rhythmic tool of the ghost note. So first, without the ghost note, let's look at some ideas. So you could do something like this. So that's leading back into like another verse or something. So let me break down what I did there. Is those first 4 bars, the first line. So I'm doing the first measure just normal, just a root and a fifth. This next one I'm going to play on beats 1, 3, and 4 instead of just 1 and 3. So, and I'm going to add an E note. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's G, E, D, leading to the C. And on that first measure of C, I'm just going to play a root and a fifth. I'm going to play the low G for my 5. Then I'm going to walk back up to the G. And I'm going to do C, E, F sharp, which is going to lead our ears really nice back to that G. And again, that's doing that, hitting on beats 1, 3, and 4. So if I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're to the second line. So again, I'm starting out just a root and a fifth, just a G and a D. And then I'm gonna hit on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4 now. So I'm doing G, G, F sharp, E, D. So leading to the D there. And you could do that a chromatic walk down, meaning we'd move by half steps. So we could change that, and instead of hitting the G twice, you could hit G, so here's the difference. Here's hitting the G twice. Here's doing the chromatic. So listen to the tune, trust your ears, see what makes a little more sense for you. But a couple ideas for you. On that D, we're doing a slow chromatic walk back up to the G. So meaning we're moving by half steps, except for this first move from a D to an E is a whole step. But from here, we're just going to go half steps. We're going to do F, F sharp, G. So putting that together, this is that second line. Leading us to the G of the third line. So the really nice thing I like about chromatic walk-ups, and walk-downs for that matter, is they're a very clear path for your listener and for your bandmates to know exactly where you're going. So it's important for you as a bass player to put it in the right place, of course, because everyone's going to want to follow you if you put that wherever. So it's a great tool to help people, especially if they get lost in a song or in a solo, as you can kind of gently guide them back to the chord progression. All right, so we're to the third line. We're back to 2 Gs and 2 Cs. So you could do it just like we did before. We could do that, right? I'm going to show you a different option for the C this time. So that time I'm going to do some octaves. And so this is a different option if you wanted something than what we've already played. So I'm doing that G, D, G, E, D. I'm shifting, and I'm going to play this C with my first finger. I'm going to play a closed G with my pinky. And this sets me up to play a high C with my pinky on the G string. Then I'm walking down B, A, G. So again, what that sounds like. And that's the beginning of the last line. So you've got a few options there. So the last line, we've just got a 1-5-1-1. So what I'm doing there is I'm doing G, F, E, D. So I'm doing a flat 7, which gives it a little bit of a bluesier feel, and you can see if for whatever tune you're picking, if that's appropriate or not. So I've got D and A, just a root and a fifth, and then I'm hitting this low G. Open D, G, D, E, F sharp, back to G. And so what I like about hitting that low G is often the lyrics or the melodic line is following a similar trajectory, and it's often kind of coming to a resolution and falling off. You're often kind of echoing the melody, and you're kind of putting a punctuation mark, and you're putting a period at the end of that phrase. And it's also indicative to your listeners that, oh, something's different. This is the end of something. And so you've got, and so sometimes you end the song like that, you know, and that can be a nice way to end things. Or if you're hanging out there for another measure. And so I'm just adding a root and a fifth there to end it if people are hanging on for another measure there. But what I also like is at the end what I'm doing, so that final G, what I like about the 1, 2, 3, 4 is that's letting your listener know you're going back into a verse or into a chorus and that the song's not done. So we're looking at ways you can end it by hanging out on that low G if you want, or if there's more, the da 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 kind of lets you know, hey, wait, we're going in for some more there. So that can be also a useful cue for your listeners. Now let's look at the concept of a ghost note. So a ghost note is basically like a muffled note that serves as a percussive tool. So we're not getting the tone of a note, but we're getting a, I'll show you. Let me show you. So if we're doing, percussive stuff there. And what I'm doing, so I'm letting those ring. That's a ghost note. So I've got G, ghost, E, D. And for the ghost, I'm just flopping my fingers on the strings, my left-hand fingers, to mute them. And so rather than fretting a note or letting an open string ring, it's nearly like I just didn't push down hard enough, but I'm using it as a percussive tool. So G, ghost, and I'm ghosting on the G string. And I'm just laying down my fingers. So, and it's rhythmically coming 1 and 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1. So that's where that ghost is fitting in. So I'm ghosting going back up, so C, ghost, D, F sharp, G, G, ghost, F, E, So there, we've still got this chromatic walk up, but I'm doing a ghost after each of those notes. So I've got D, ghost, and I'm ghosting on the same string on the D. D, ghost, E, ghost, F, ghost, F sharp, D, G. You could also just do one ghost there. You could do D, E, F, F sharp, ghost, back to your G. So I hope that's opening up your ear to a few possibilities and giving you something to work on with your hands, especially trying to get that ghost note rhythm. And when you slow it down, it may not sound that great, but when you bring it back up to speed, I think it makes a little more sense there. So please let me know if you have questions, if you found this video helpful. Let's keep the conversation going. If you found other songs that this chord progression works on and want to share in that, please do. Leave your comments. You can always email me, anne.luna21@gmail.com. That's ANNE.LUNA21@gmail. Or you can find out what I'm up to, what camps I'm teaching at, what gigs I'm playing. You can read my blog, and you can contact me about lessons at www.annlunamusic.com. Thank you, and have fun.
My darling.